Good afternoon, students. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I hope that you all are happy and well at your homes during the emergency coronavirus crisis. And I also hope that you all are studying well and study properly at your home and use this time for the beneficial and the most creative things. Okay, so basically, last time in class 10 syllabus, we had studied about the chapter that is sectors of the Indian economy. So let's continue this chapter from the last topic which we had left yesterday. So let's take a recap of the things which we had studied earlier, which we had discussed earlier, basically in just 5 or 6 minutes. So let's discuss about the things. So first of all, when we started our chapter, then we had said that basically in the sectors of the Indian economy, we discussed about the three sectors, mainly the primary, secondary, and the tertiary sector. Primary sector, we had said that primary sector is linked to agriculture or is related to agriculture or agriculture related activities. In the secondary sector, we had said that secondary sector is the sector which is related to the manufacturing industries, and the tertiary sector is the sector which provides services to the peoples of any country, and it is also known as service sector. Okay, tertiary sector is also known as service sector. Okay, so basically these are the three sectors which are very important in a particular country or in a particular economy. Okay, after that we had studied about the interdependency of the three sectors. Basically all the three sectors which are crucial in an economy is directly interdependent upon each other, because all the things are produced, or all the things are related to each other by three sectors of the economy. Like if we compare, if we see, if we think, if we see the things that primary sector provides many things to secondary, secondary provide tertiary, and tertiary provides secondary and primary. Okay, all three sectors are interdependent upon each other. Basically primary sector provides food to the secondary and tertiary sector. Primary sector also provide raw material to secondary and tertiary sector, and it also includes the employment. It also includes the people who are employing in the primary sector. Secondary sector provides the uh, goods, finished goods to primary and the tertiary sector. It also provides the transportation, and it also provides the means of transport by which all the things are carried out by the help of transport. Okay, the tertiary sector provides primary and secondary the services. Okay, it also provide the technical staff who give services to the primary and the secondary sector. Okay, so basically all the three sectors are interdependent upon each other. After that we had studied about the final good and intermediate good. We had discussed about it. Okay, and we also discussed about the GDP, the total value of all the goods and services produced in a country during 1 year, that is known as GDP. Okay, and after that we had studied about the topic that was known as uh, development of the three sectors, how the three sectors historically developed from the earlier time to the modern times. Okay, we had discussed so many things in these sectors. Like we had studied that firstly in primary times, or in ancient time, basically the sector which was growing was primary sector. Basically, as you all know that when human civilization began, the first work done by human was to agriculture. If we compare all the three sectors, then we can say that basically the primary work of the peoples were agriculture. After that, in the 18th century, after the coming of industrialization, after the initial phase of industrialization, manufacturing was started. Okay, after that manufacturing had started. After that, so most of the people also employed in agriculture as well as in secondary sector also. Then in the past 100 years, we see that the people are also employed in the tertiary sector. Okay, so in recent times, or in modern time, or in 21st century, we can say that the tertiary sector is growing day by day, because there are many factors behind due to the rising importance of the tertiary sector. Okay, if we talk about the why tertiary sector is rising day by day, there are so many things behind that, why tertiary sector is growing day by day. The first and the foremost point is that the first main reason behind the rise of the tertiary sector is that basically this is the time when any government provides basic services to the people, and basic services like water, electricity, health facility, education facility. So these are the basic services which provided by the government, and government also include the service sector. Okay, basically these services are provided by particular professionals. Okay, like teacher teach the children's. Okay, basically the policeman provides policemen undertake the responsibility of to maintain the law and order of any area. Okay, the judiciary takes the provide the justice to the all the peoples, justice to all the peoples. Okay, so basically these are the basic services provided by the government to develop any particular area of a country. Okay, so basically the first and foremost responsibility of the government is to provide basic services to each and every individual of the country. So this is the first reason with the rising of the tertiary sector. The second reason behind the rising of the tertiary sector is the infrastructure. Basically, as you all know that this is the age of industrialization, this is the age of the services. So that's why the government also improve the agriculture sector as well as the manufacturing sector or the industry sector. And due to the increasing and due to the demand creative industry, or the because due to the improvement in agriculture and industries, basically there is rise in transport, trade development. All these things are developed in comparison to trade, and with comparison to trade, agriculture and आपका industries. Okay, so this is the main reason. This is the second reason behind the rising of the importance of the tertiary sector. The third reason behind the rising of the tertiary sector was to provide basically to provides the to give the improvement in the telecommunication and then improvement in the telecommunication and information technology. Basically, as you all know that today is the age of communication. Okay, so basically every possible work is done by communication, and so by the introduction and by the improvement in technology of the communication, everything is just possible because of the communication. We get information we easily get information in our home by the distant parts of the world, just because of the rise in improvement in the communication sector. Okay, we also call from one place to another place, so this is just possible because of communication. Okay, so basically this is the main reason behind the rising of the importance of the tertiary sector, rise the tertiary sector. Okay, basically as there is one more reason behind the rise of the importance of the tertiary sector, that is the rise of the income. Basically this is the age when all peoples are employed somewhere in one area or the other, in one particular firm or another company or another particular employment opportunities. So basically when the income of the people is rises, then also when there is a rise in the income, then there is also a rise in the demand also. So people demand more and more services today, like tourism, like cinema, like entertainment, like tourism, like trade, like in food complex entertainment and tourism. All of the things are just possible due to the rise in the income of the peoples. So basically these are the four main reasons behind the rise of the importance of the tertiary sector. Why tertiary sector is becoming so much importance in these times? Because there is a rise in the income, there is a improvement in technology or communication, there is an improvement in the infrastructure, there is an improvement in the basic services, or this is a responsibility of the government. Okay, so these are the reasons behind the improvement of the tertiary sector. But when we compare the employment or the with comparison to but when we compare tertiary sector with primary or secondary sector, then there is a contradiction that यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि कुछ चीज़ें आपको बहुत अलग नज़र आएंगी. If we compare the graph, if we compare the year of 1970 and 2010, then in these 40 years we draw one conclusion, that most of the peoples are employed in the primary sector from 1970 and 2010 also. Okay, most of the peoples are employed in the primary sector. Okay, in the primary sector in 1970 most of the people were employed in the primary sector, and in this year also 2010 most of the people are also employed in the primary sector. Okay, but when we compare, when we see the uh, contribution of when we see the contribution of primary sector in GDP, then we see that it only produce quarter of the GDP, and more half of the population of the half of the workers, half of the peoples are employed in the primary sector. मतलब आधे से ज़्यादा लोग प्राइमरी सेक्टर में एम्प्लॉयड हैं, बट वे केवल और केवल 25% GDP प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. बट ऑन द अदर हैंड 2/3 of GDP is produced by tertiary sector, and it includes only less than the half people. मतलब बहुत कम पीपल आपका टर्शरी सेक्टर में एम्प्लॉयड है, इंडस्ट्रीज में एम्प्लॉयड है, लेकिन वो क्या करता है, 2/3 आपका GDP में कंट्रीब्यूट करता है. सो देयर इज अ मिसकॉन्सेप्शन दैट basically if we compare the graph of 1970 and 2011 in terms of employment, in terms of the share of GDP, so tertiary sector first in 1970 the primary sector have high contribution in GDP, but in 2010 we see that, we draw a conclusion and we see a clear observation that today is the rising of the importance of tertiary sector. Means tertiary sector become higher than the primary sector in case of contribution of share of GDP. But if we see the employment ratio in primary and tertiary sector, then we see that the primary sector employed highest people in 1970, and in 2010 primary sector is also highest number of people. मतलब 1970 में क्या था, आपका ज़्यादातर लोग प्राइमरी सेक्टर में ही आपका काम करते थे, और 2010 में भी ज़्यादातर लोग प्राइमरी सेक्टर में ही काम करते हैं. ठीक है, सो वेयर आर द मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल एम्प्लॉयड. सो ज़्यादातर लोग कहाँ एम्प्लॉयड है, तो इस चीज़ को देखने के लिए हम बहुत सारी चीज़ें देखते हैं. व्हाट आर द थिंग्स दैट ज़्यादातर मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर वर्किंग इन द एग्रीकल्चर और प्राइमरी सेक्टर्स, but they don't get so much income by the primary sector because of the following things. Okay, basically they are only working in the, they are only, most of the people are only working in the primary sector. Okay, so basically these people are also there are more people are employed in primary sector. If we remove some people from the primary sector, then the production will not affect, because there are more people are employed in the primary sector, and this is called disguised unemployment. What is called, this is disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment means the people's disguised unemployment, मतलब इसको disguised unemployment हम लोग कहते हैं. Let's discuss about disguised unemployment. For any work, when any work requires 6 person, but we take help the workers, not 6 workers but 10 workers. So the remaining 4 workers, our work is fulfilling by only 6 workers, but we take 4 more workers to complete that work. So in particular off season, these extra 4 workers are unemployed. So that's why we can if any work we require 6 workers, but we can take but we are taking 4 more workers, then this is known as disguised unemployment. Okay, after that there is also a concept of how there is also a concept of there is one more thing left in this topic, that is in the primary sector, in the secondary sector, as one thing I discussed earlier, that in primary sector most of the people are employed, but in the case of employment we can see in secondary sectors the production of the secondary sector is grown by 9 times, and its employment only rose by 3 times. मतलब 40 सालों के अंदर 1970 से 2010 तक आपका सेकेंडरी सेक्टर में बहुत ज़्यादा प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा है, 9 गुना प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा है, लेकिन 3 टाइम्स उसमें क्या बढ़ा है, केवल एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ा है. If we take the case of tertiary sector, then we have clear observation that the production or the there is a rise of the tertiary sector 14 times. मतलब 1970 से 2010 तक आते आते 14 गुना उसमें क्या बढ़ा है, आपका प्रोडक्शन बढ़ा है टर्शरी सेक्टर में, लोग बढ़े हैं, लेकिन एम्प्लॉयमेंट आपका क्या है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट कितना बढ़ा है, केवल 5 टाइम्स बढ़ा है. सो बेसिकली बाय द हेल्प ऑफ दीज 2 एग्जांपल वी सी दैट मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल्स आर एम्प्लॉयड इन प्राइमरी सेक्टर and it only produce small amount of GDP, or small amount means only 25% of GDP. But on the other hand, secondary and tertiary sector contribute 2/3 of the economy, but they only employed half the number of people of the primary sector. Okay, so I hope that you understand all the things, and let's discuss the next topic, that is how we create more employment. What are the main methods, what are the main strategies adopted by the government to produce more employment? So let's basically we have to introduce certain things, like we also the how to create more employment. First, we have to create small scale industries so that people are more employed in these industries also, and they don't migrate from their homes to the urban areas. They don't migrate from the rural areas to the urban areas. They get their income, they get their employment, they get their jobs in their particular respective areas. Okay, we can introduce some types of employment, like we can introduce like the small scale industries, like the honey collection or the bee collection in the forest areas. Also, we also start, or we also initiate some type of small scale industry like rice mills or the sugar mills or the some other things. Okay, so basically these all things are started in particular small level at a particular rural level. So that's why this can help the peoples of the village or the rural areas, so they also get employed in the rural areas. Okay, so they don't get to migrate from one area to the other area. Okay, the first thing, that is small scale industries. The government must promote the small scale industries, set up some small scale industries. Then the government also provide basic services to the people. Okay, it also improves the basic services, like as you all know that in the education sector 20 lakh jobs are vacant in only in the education sector. The government has to introduce government also set up new hospitals, new primary health centers, new educational institutions, so that people are also employed in these sectors also. Okay, after that there is another thing, that is NREGA. Most of the government have undertaken the concept, or the basically the right to work program in the 200 districts. Like in 2000, basically NREGA was started in 2006, that is National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which is started by the UPA government. And in this scheme 100 days work is provided to every rural household. Every rural 100 days of proper guaranteed work is provided to the every person of particular household family. Okay, if the government fails to provide employment to the respective person, then he gave money in cash or in payment also. Okay, and it guarantees the work of 100 days to every person of the particular family of the rural households. Okay, it also provides the NREGA card to each person of the to the one person of a particular family. So basically NREGA was started by government to create more employment and to provide more opportunities for the rural areas as well as urban areas. Okay, and also government also introduced some kinds of telecommunication sector in the IT sector, and they have also introduced some types of employment in the IT sector, so that peoples are also employed in these sectors. Okay, so basically if we have to remove the obstacle of unemployment in our country, so we have to introduce some types of diverse employment in our country, so that all the peoples, all the youth, all the urban and the rural people are engaged in proper work, so that neither of the person is unemployed. Okay, after that there is a concept that which is called as organized versus unorganized sector. What is known as organized and what is known as unorganized sector? So basically organized sector is the sector which is registered by the government. Unorganized sector is the sector which is not registered by the government. Organized sector has the maximum facilities. The workers which are working in the organized sector gets higher wages, they also get proper salary, they also get proper medical facility, they also get proper leave facility, proper attendance, proper working hours, proper wages. All the things are guaranteed by the government, all the things are properly registered by the government, they get more facilities. Okay, but if we see the case of unorganized sector, then we can say that we see in this sector that in unorganized sector, this sector is not registered by the government, and in this, and the people don't get medical facility, not get proper wages, not get proper working hours fixed, not get proper salary, not get proper things. So basically organized sector is basically good sector, and unorganized sector is type of bad, because they don't get facility, so much facility as the organized sector. Okay, so organized sector is the sector which is registered by the government. Okay, it provides proper salary to the workers. It also provides the proper pension, medical facility. It also gives proper employment, proper working hours. All the things are properly fixed. And in unorganized sector, all the things are not properly fixed. They are not registered by the government. Okay, they have very low wages. They give very low wages to their workers. They also don't get. They also don't give any particular extra extra income to the farm. They only give very low wages, very poor medical facility. They don't get any medical facility. They don't get any. They don't give any medical facility, insurance, pension. They don't get any things. So in online sector, all the workers get these things. In unorganized sector, they don't get these things. Okay, so the last topic of this chapter is organized employment on the basis of private and public ownership. Okay, so basically public and private sector. Basically public sector is the sector which is controlled by the government, or in public sector there are industries which are run by the government. Okay, like you can take the example of SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, GAIL, Gas Authority of India Limited. Okay, these are the companies which are run by the government. Okay, private sector is the sector in which there are industries which are run by private individuals. Okay, they are properly run by the private individuals, and they have to managed by the private individuals. Okay, you can see the example of Reliance Industries. You can also see the example of Wipro. Okay, LG, Onida. These all industries are private industries or private sector of industries. Okay, so most of the people, some people are employed in the primary sector, primary in the private sector, and some people are employed in the public sector. Okay, so what is the role of the government? What is the role of the government to provide employment to the people? So basically, if we talk about the role of the government, then we can say that the role of the government to provide employment to the people is that it also give employment to the rural areas as well as urban areas. It also provides services to the rural areas as well as urban areas. They also started such type of works which are beneficial to all the people. They introduce such type of rules and regulations so that each person can get benefits by the laws of the government. Okay, they also provide some alternative types of employment in all the areas, so that neither of the person can migrate from their particular area to another. Okay, so there is a cause of migrating workers, which is a very dangerous thing in our society. So these things are only compensated. These things are also fulfilled by the responsibility of the government. So governments must take the responsibility and provide essential services to all the peoples who are residing in the particular democratic country. And it is the first and foremost responsibility of the government to provide all these services to all the peoples who are residing in a country, because that is the responsibility of a democratic government, and that is a basic principle of a democratic government, to provide employment and to provide opportunities to each and every person. Okay, this is the last topic of the chapter, and I hope that you all understand all the things which I had taught you in this chapter. Basically, this is not so much difficult chapter, very easy chapter. If you read this chapter one or two times, then you can easily understand the chapter, because not so much difficult chapter. Okay, I hope that you are getting all the points. Okay, so if you have any doubt regarding any topic, any query, okay, you can comment in the comment section, or also call me, and also put a question in the group also. Okay, and be happy, be safe, be healthy. Just take care of you and your family also, and get engaged in the good things. So bye.